What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Fearless Nick YouTube channel, and in today's video I'm going to be reacting to my season predictions from the start of the year, and I guess seeing how they eventually panned out, or if they did pan out, or if they went horribly wrong. I think a lot of them probably went horribly wrong, but remember, if you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like, share and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 350 subs by the end of the year, so if you haven't clicked that big red subscribe button down below yet, it would mean the absolute world if you could do so right now. Anyways, without any other further ado, yeah, let's get stuck into it. Alright, so here we are, all the way back in, I believe I filmed this in March, I think, this video. It's been a long time. I think I've changed a little bit since then, but yeah, anyways, we'll get straight into it, starting off with 18th. And yeah, without any further ado, let's get stuck into it! So 18th position, Wooden Spooners in 2022. Who do I'm going to put the Gold Coast Suns in last. Main reason, Gold Coast in last. That's a great start. That's not a great start. Gold Coast finished 12th. They weren't really top 8 contenders, but geez, they were an exciting team to watch this year, the Suns. They had some very impressive wins, to be fair to them. They shocked me and a few people, to be fair. Maybe some people had them 12th or, you know, somewhere. I think that's where a lot of people probably would have had it. To save myself from watching this any further, the reason I had Gold Coast last was obviously missing Ben King for the entire year. But when you've got Marbia Chol and Levi Casbolt, who needs Ben King? Because they definitely weren't short of the goals this year, Gold Coast, and yeah, yeah. But 18th, that is a shocking call. I finished as 11th, but I have the Gold Coast Suns in winning the Wooden Spoon in 17th position. 17th position in 2022. This could spark a bit of flair here. Oh, really? I've got the Hawthorne Hawks. I've got the Hawthorne Football Club. Well, at least it's not Collingwood. But for me, Hawthorne, I think they've got a good crop of players like Will Day, CJ. Josh Ward looked really good for Hawthorne. That game against Richmond. He had no right season. But I just can't see them, even though they played very good footy at the end of last year, I just don't see them shooting up this year. And I feel like it could be a bit of a down year for Hawks fans. Apologies, Hawks. So, I guess what I was trying to say there is they were a little bit too inexperienced. They were obviously Hawthorne. They were a very, very young list under Sammy Mitch. Yeah, they're sort of in a mini rebuild, Hawthorne. I think they've got some great young talent like Jai Newcomb, Mitch Lewis, Jacob Kazitsky, Granger Barras. You know, those Josh Ward. Those guys. In there, I feel like where they finished 13th, Hawthorne this year, so not the worst call, but probably not the best call either. In 16th position. 16th position. In 2022. It was Adelaide. I have the Adelaide Crows in 16th position in 2022. Okay, Adelaide in 16th. Not the worst call. They finished 14th, so they did exceed. So yeah, I didn't quite get that spot on, but you know, 14th to 16th isn't a huge gap. 16th the Crows, again similar to Hawthorne, just a little bit too inexperienced, I thought, at the start of the year. Obviously the Crows' best footy is very, very good, but I feel like they're just a bit too inconsistent away from home, and had some really great wins, honestly. Adelaide this year, knocking off Port Adelaide after the siren. They beat Carlton as well. They are poised to take the next step, the Crows, and especially adding Isaac Rankin, you assume. They're going to have a very dangerous forward line. I can't wait to see where the Crows finish next year. In 15th position. Alright, 15th. Rounding out the bottom 4 in 2022, I have last year's Wooden Spooners, the North Melbourne Football Club. Oh. The excitement around this team is very, very real. I reckon You know, they've got such.
What excitement, mate! What excitement! There's no excitement at North Melbourne right now. What is there to be excited about North Melbourne? What, they got 2 players, Griffin, like they won 2 games. That's their excitement. Oh, jeez. North Melbourne in 15th. That is a shocking call. Yeah, North obviously finished last again this year. Very disappointing after I think a lot of people going into this year expected them to rise a couple of positions. Yeah, very, very disappointing. North Melbourne, that they almost took a step back from last season. I think in 2021 they won about 5 games, I think, and then this year they obviously won 2 games. So they got even worse. I thought under David Noble they were developing something, but clearly not good enough there, North Melbourne. Potentially Jason Horne-Francis leaving. They do get Griffin Logan, Darcy Tucker in, but it's going to be interesting to see where North Melbourne finish next year. I think they're still guaranteed bottom 4. But hopefully, for the competition's sake, they don't finish last again next year. And in 14th position, 2022, I have the Collingwood football. Okay, so this is where I put Collingwood. Now, I know it was still, 10 positions off. They finished top 4. No one saw that coming. No one saw Collingwood making the top 4 this year. So everyone had them in the bottom 4, except me. I didn't have them in the bottom 4. Yeah, I'm not going to completely disregard myself there. But, yeah, still shocking call, obviously. I know their stars are getting old. Like, I think Grundy's nearly... I don't know how old Grundy is. Like, he's probably going to leave. But, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what Nick Dacos can do, whether he won the Rising Star. For me, it's very hard to get a read on Collingwood this year. There's 2 ways this could go. They could either shoot up dramatically, or they could just go even further than last year. Oh, I kind of saved myself there a little bit. I did say they could potentially shoot up dramatically, and I copped a little bit for that. So I kind of saved myself there, but yeah, it is what it is, really. Yes, it is the West Coast Eagles. I've got West Coast in 13th. West Coast in 13th. They finished 17th. They were even worse than I predicted. I didn't actually know how seriously West Coast were going to drop off this year. I thought it was going to be like a gradual drop. Like, you know, I think they finished 9th in 2021. They fall to 13th this year, and then they fall even further next year. I thought it was going to be that gradual drop, but it was a very sudden drop. Like, they fell off the cliff big time, West Coast this year. Yeah, they'll definitely be miles away from finals. Oh, that's a great call. That is a great call. Miles away from finals. Exactly right. 13th position in 2022. And in 12th spot in 2022, I've got the GWS Giants. Okay. Now, I know I go on about this a lot, and I know I was still, 4 places off. If I'm being honest, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for that because, again, similar to the Collingwood one, except the opposite. A lot of people had GWS top 8, even top 4 at the start of the year. And I know I go on about this a lot, but I don't think many other people would have had the Giants that low at the start of the year. So I am going to give myself a pat on the back there. That was a great call, and I think the main reason for that was I wasn't doubting their talent or anything like that. Like, they had a great list. They still kind of do have a great list. The Giants, even with the stars going out, but I just thought some of the inconsistency for me worried me at the start of the year, and that's why I wasn't confident putting them in the 8, so or above teams I had above them in this video. So yeah, Giants 12th. I'm gonna say that's a great call. Spot in 2022, 11th spot. This is where it starts getting really tight. Yeah. And this is where it got really hard for me. In 11th spot in 2022, I have the Saints. Oh, that's a good call. St Kilda finished 10th this year, so only 1 spot off. That's a pretty good call. Obviously, the Saints, they started the year very, very well. Their best footy, the Saints, I reckon, is probably top 8 worthy. But unfortunately, injuries. They had a tough run at the end of the year, fixture-wise. Yeah, I don't know what went on with the Saints, whether it was inconsistency, injury. It was probably a number of factors, really. But Basically, why I predicted them 11th was pretty much those exact reasons. It was probably due to the hard fixture and all that they missed out. But they were playing some exciting footy at the start of the year, the Saints.
2022, in 10th spot, I've got Richmond.
Oh, oh no! I've underestimated my own side. That is really embarrassing. I guess the reason why I had him 10th, as a Richmond fan, I didn't want to sound too biased and put him in the 8 because I knew there were a lot of teams contending for the top 8 this year. I didn't think we were going to be terrible. I just thought, in classic Richmond fashion, we'd choke it in the last couple of rounds and miss out on the finals. But fair play to us. We played really well. Underestimating your own side is a little bit embarrassing. But I basically put him 10th because I didn't want to sound biased.
I feel like this year they'll shoot back up. They'll be in the 8 for a bit of the year and then fade away late. But
honestly, that wasn't out of the question at one point this year. We were very inconsistent. After the Gold Coast game, that looked a severe possibility. In fact, after the North game, that looked a possibility that we could miss the 8.
22, finishing 9th.
Ninth.
This team's ever so close.
Oh, no.
I've got Fremantle.
Oh, thank...
in 9th.
Now, I know I was off on that one, but thank the Lord I didn't have Geelong outside the 8 because that would have been even worse. Fremantle, obviously, we all know what they did this year, finishing, I think it was 5th. Yeah, 5th. Obviously won a final as well. I'm lucky to go out to Collingwood. I just didn't... I thought, inconsistency again was going to cost them. Improving on 2021 again, but just missing out just barely. Fair play to the Dockers. They did pretty well.
7th, 6th, even 5th. Actually, 5th might be a bit high, but
I'm really annoyed because, like I just said then, I literally said Freo could finish anywhere 7th, 6th, even 5th. 5th is where they finished. Oh, damn it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've got the Geelong Cats in 8th. I don't remember.
Okay, Geelong in 8th. Thank God I had Geelong inside the top 8 because I would have looked very silly if I put them outside the 8. So I know I was way off. Obviously, Geelong went on to win the flag this year. I was way off. I don't know why I even had them that low, honestly. I didn't really have any reason for it. I just thought maybe this is the year they fall off. It obviously wasn't. They were even stronger than the years gone by. But fair play to the Cats. They are just an unbelievable organisation. They make prelims, grannies, and they've now won another flag. So, I have to take my hat off to Geelong at this point.
In 7th position in 2022... I've got the Sydney Swans in 7th. They have really impressive...
Sydney in 7th. Don't know what was going on there. Swans obviously did very well. They made the grand final. They had a bad day on grand final day, it's fair to say. Maybe I thought their young group was just not going to quite take that next step and go to the top 4 this year, which they obviously did, and they made it all the way to the grand final. I think Sydney probably have the best list balance in the comp. The Swans, once again, they did very well, and I may have been way too harsh on them.
In 6th position in 2022, I've got the Carlton Football Club. Bombshell.
Okay, this is actually getting painful at this point. They were so close. Carlton, they missed out narrowly. I think it was like 0.5%. You all know the story of Carlton this year. They were very, very exciting. But unfortunately, the tough run at the end of the year, injuries to their back line, and really cost them. But I was very happy with my call for most of the year. And then for them to miss out at the end of the year makes my call look a little bit now. Not the greatest call, but then again, it's probably not the worst call. Carlton only just missed out on final. It's getting painful for Carlton fans at this point. I feel so bad for Blues fans like Louis, like Blue Abroad, Pommy and Oz. I feel so bad for those guys.
I think this is the year, Paddy Cripps looks ripped as. Adam Chera looks like an absolute beast. I can't wait to see him and Wald.
Well, one of them was right. Paddy Cripps won the Brownlow. So, yeah, he had an outstanding year. Adam Chera, not so much. But anyway. And before we get into this, I need to apologise because I don't know what I was thinking with this one, and I think this is my worst call by an absolute mile. Listen to who he has in fifth. Listen to this, and sorry for the dog barking in the background.
And in fifth position, got the Essendon football.
That is the definition of a bombshell of a prediction right there. That was just disgraceful. That is just the worst call. That could arguably be my worst prediction ever. Essendon finished 15th, and I thought they were almost going to make the top four. Hopefully, this doesn't affect my my popularity. I think the Bombers fans will appreciate me putting them that high, but my, was I mistaken about the Bombers this year? So yeah, the reason why I had Essendon fifth was because what they did last year. So they made finals last year, still didn't win a final in 2021, but I just thought maybe this year could be the year they win a final. I don't know what I was thinking there. Like I said, probably the worst call in this whole body ladder predictions.
Got last year's runners-up, the Western Bulldogs.
The Dogs finished. They scraped into 8th. Some say undeservingly. Probably undeservingly. They sort of didn't look like they had a plan B. The Dogs. Because, their game is based around centre clearances, and when they can't win the centre clearances, they fall to pieces because their defence is not the strongest in the league, it's fair to say. But having the Dogs 4th, I mean, they still made finals, so I'll let myself off. But yeah, not a great call either.
Position in 2022, I've got Port Adelaide in.
Just when I thought it couldn't get any worse. Port Adelaide in 3rd. I think we all know the story with Port Adelaide this year, starting 0-5 and finished middle of the road. They were I actually thought after they went 0-5, they were probably going to finish in the bottom 4. But they did recover. They recovered pretty well. They still finished outside the 8. They finished 11th. Shocking call again there by myself.
In 2nd position, I've got the Melbourne Demons.
Yes, I got one correct. Woo! Melbourne did finish 2nd this year. So I finally got one correct. I really thought I was going to go this video without not getting one correct, but I got one correct. So there we go. Pretty much, Melbourne, I said they were going to be a dominant force. They had a solid year. They weren't as dominant as they were obviously in 2021. That is a great call. Melbourne finishing 2nd. Will be my only, because the team I got above them definitely didn't finish 1st.
Well, that only leaves one team. The Brisbane Lions are your minor premiers in 2022.
No.
I don't know what it is.
Not right at all. Brisbane. It's a weird one with Brisbane. They finished 6th. They missed the top 4, but they won 2 finals. So. I don't know. That was really hard to rate Brisbane's season as well in my last video. They were really hard to rate. Obviously they didn't finish 1st though. That was very, very wrong. That was my ladder predictions. So now let's move on to the individual awards.
I have Marcus Bontempelli.
Bont for the Brownlow. That just didn't happen. That just straight up didn't happen. I felt a bit bad for Bont this year, honestly. He looked like him and Libba and Norton had to carry that team a lot this year. They did make finals because of a bit of individual brilliance from those guys, but the Dogs just weren't the same, like I said, as they were in 2021, and I think that's what really affected Bont this year in the Brownlow. Like I said, I don't think he was anywhere near it, honestly, this year.
Medal, Max King.
Max King, not the worst call, but he just couldn't. There were just moments this year where he just couldn't kick straight, Max King. You just felt like he has such a presence in that St Kilda forward line. You just feel like if he fixes up his kicking, he will be unstoppable, Max King, especially in a year or two. Yeah, not a great call, Max King. I don't know where he finished in the comment. I don't know how many goals he kicked. I think, yeah, Max King didn't quite get there. Obviously, it was Charlie Curnow, who ended up winning the Coleman for the Navy Blues.
Rising star for 2022. Him later. It's Jason Horne-Francis. I think
I've missed probably the most obvious prediction of this entire video, and that was Nick Dacos. I don't know what I was talking about there. Obviously, Jason Horne-Francis will be a star. Whether he plays at North Melbourne next year or not is another question. But see, it was clearly Nick Dacos that won the Rising Star this year. He was far and away the best player this year, Nick Dacos. He looked like he'd played 200, 300 games already for Collingwood, and he was a big reason why Collingwood went up the ladder this year. Now, you probably may have noticed, or if you've watched the video before, I did actually forget to tip who I had as the premiers for 2022. So if you looked at the comments, I did predict Melbourne to go back-to-back. I did say that in the comments of that video, and obviously that was incorrect. Obviously it was Geelong who ended up going all the way this year in 2022. So yeah, there you go, guys. That was me reacting to my season predictions at the start of the year. Honestly, it could have been better. There was a couple of really good predictions. Obviously, St Kilda and Melbourne probably the two best out of the lot. But then there were some absolute howlers like Essendon, Port Adelaide, Collingwood. Anyways, remember to leave a like, share and subscribe if you did go on to enjoy today's video. Every subscription means the world, and yeah, it really helps the channel grow. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and yeah, I will see you in my next video. Cheers!